Welcome back, my dear learners. Let's complete The World is Too Much with us. So I'm just going to explain it to you. The sestet, the last part of the poem or the second part of the poem, because it is a Petrarchan sonnet. In the last video I explained it to you, the first part, that is octave of 8 lines, in which he actually elaborates the subject of his own poem. Now in this very particular, just a sestet, he is just going to conclude the subject. He actually opens discussion in the part 1, that is octave. So now let's look at the poem. Why? Because here William Wordsworth is giving a criticism of life. Here he has been condemning the English for being too material, for being too worldly. Why? Because by becoming too material or by becoming too worldly, they have lost their spiritual power. They have lost their moral power. That spiritual and moral power that holds the humanity intact or helps the humanity to balance. It is the spiritual or moral power that maintains the balance, and that balance somehow he felt the English losing, or he thought that the English, his countrymen, had lost that potential of power. So now let's look at the sestet of the poem. He says, it moves us not. See, here move. Us stands for all the English. He says it moves, means touches, means somehow just you can say that impacts or influences. It stands for nature. Remember, my dear, means the scenes and the sights of the nature now. The scenes or the sights of the nature now. Scenes and the sights of the nature now do not touch or impact or influence the English. Why? Because English have become too much indifferent. Just as in the poem The Solitary Reaper, all the passes by those people who are going past that very particular place where a solitary reaper is singing, but the impact of the song is null and void on those passes. In the same manner, nature has become almost invalid, useless, particularly for the modern, material, worldly minded English people. And that's why he says, now the glories, the beauty of the nature somehow does not agitate or somehow touch the heart of the common, modern, material minded English. See what he says. Great God, he says, is greatly surprised when he says great God. He says, I wish I had not been born as a Christian. Better he would be a pagan. Pagan was a kind of a person, a person who actually does not or did not believe in an institutionalized or organized or established religion is called pagan. The person who does not believe or did not believe in the past. Earlier, before the advent of Christianity, there was no institutionalized religion. People believed in different gods and goddesses. They took sea as a god, or they saw just a kind of a spirit in sea. They saw a kind of a spirit in a kind of a tree, in a moon, even in the ocean, even in the sea, sun, so on and so forth. So, pagan people were those people who had close bonding with the nature. Why? Because somehow they worshipped nature. Why? Because they saw a kind of unseen power in nature. Nature did not mean for them something very ordinary. Why? Because nature meant for them something great. Why? Because they felt, or they found a kind of a God in the sea. Sea was a kind of a object of worship for those people. Why? Because they were closely associated with nature. They did not worship a kind of a God belonging to institutionalized or established religion. So he says, I wish I would become a pagan. I would be born at that time. This kind of a people lived who just worshipped different elements of the nature. They associated stars with the god, with the goddesses. For them, the sea was not a mere water body for them, but a kind of a god, sea god. They even worshipped just a sea god. They even worshipped sea, just as in our own country, India. We do not look at the river Ganga just as a water body, but something as a goddess. In the same manner, those pagan people, before the advent of this Christianity, had that kind of understanding and approach of appreciating and worshipping nature. So here see, William Wordsworth is also talking about his concept or his belief of pantheism. Pantheism, probably pantheism. So William Wordsworth is also called pantheist, pantheist, pantheist. Why? Because he believed the presence of the God, or he felt the presence of the God in almost each and every object or element of this very particular world. So same thing here is talking here. So here William Wordsworth says, I wish he would be a pagan. If he had been a pagan, or if he were born as a pagan, he could well associate himself with the nature. He could well just identify himself with the nature. He could well strike his bond with the nature very strong, or he could balance his bond with the nature very, very strong, or he could manage just striking a very good balance of relation with the nature. So he says, see what? I would rather be a pagan, suckled means grown or raised in a creed, a religion or belief, outworn, that is no longer in existence. Outworn means obsolete, that is dead, that is no longer in existence. So here he means to say that at present, after the advent and establishment of Christianity, this religion disappeared. This religion died down, or this religion died. And with the death of this religion, the followers of the religion also died or changed their religion. People at the time of William Wordsworth, believe in Christianity. Christianity that was established, organized and institutionalized a religion. And what has happened after the institutionalization of religion? The loss of the moral value, the decline of the spiritual power of the man. Man has lost the importance and the value of the nature. And that's why now the spectacle of the nature does not have a positive kind of impact on the modern man. And as a result of this, now the modern man is only busy in earning and spending and has no time particularly for looking at the beauty of the rising sun or of the setting sun or that beauty of the moonlit night. See the next line. So might I, standing on this pleasantly Lee is a kind of a grassland, pleasant, beautiful, or peace-giving. How can Lee be peace-giving? So here there is a misapplication of a gan adjective. This can be called transferred epithet. A good example of transferred epithet. So actually if he were a pagan, or if William Wordsworth wishes to be a pagan, he wants to be a pagan. If he becomes a pagan, small, insignificant incident of the nature or scene or sight of the nature will hold great value for him. He will be awestruck. He will be able to appreciate and glorify and enjoy each and every even trifle, incident or happening or insignificant object of the or very common incident or happening of the nature. And that's why here William Wordsworth doesn't want to be Christian any longer. It means here he has been targeting Christianity. Why? Because somehow these English romantic poets were not happy at all with the functionality of the church. P.B. Shelley, he openly just stood against the authority of the Christianity. He openly questioned the Christianity when he wrote his famous pamphlet on the necessity of atheism. He directly just rejects Christianity. He directly and openly and boldly shows his belief. He shows that he has no belief in Christianity. He takes Christianity for nothingness. And for that he had to suffer. He was expelled from Oxford along with one of his friend Thomas Jefferson Hogg. Same is. So here William Wordsworth is also condemning openly Christianity and questions the validity of this institutionalized religion that has failed to hold the humanity intact. See the next slide. Having glimpses that would make me less forlorn, sad. So he says, after seeing the degradation of the moral values, spirituality in the English, he feels very much sad. His heart bleeds. He says, if he were not born as a Christian, and if he were born as pagan, he would definitely have 1,000 reasons to be happy and 1,000 reasons to appreciate and glorify nature. He means to say that his Englishman, if the religion had not been institutionalized, definitely different elements of the nature, of the objects of the nature would be worshipped. The approach or the understanding of the English would definitely be different. And it was all because of that. The English would be great. The English would not be so mean and material and selfish. See this next slide. Have sight of Proteus, a sea Greek god rising from the sea. So he says, if he had been a pagan, or if somehow he becomes pagan again, each and every insignificant scene and sight or incident or the happening of the nature would no longer be insignificant for him, but will be holding great value. The sea would not be only a water body for him. It would become something. It would become living. It would be a kind of a body holding some spirit. So these two sea gods here he mentions, and these two sea gods were associated with the sea, or they were called sea god by the Greek. Greek had that kind of a belief. It means Greeks were closely associated with the nature. Their bond with the nature was unbreakable. That same kind of a bond he wants to have with the nature. Here he wants to make with that nature, and he wants all the English to have it. Only then be as great as the Greeks were, as great as their art and architecture and their literature was. See, next slide and the last slide. Or heard old Triton, another sea god, blow his reed, means covered, horn means a kind of a musical instrument, or you can say conch, C-O-N-C-H, conch. So he says, if here he wishes, see, he's fed up with the Christianity. He's sad to be born as a Christian. And if he has his way, he would become pagan. He would give up his religion and would become a pagan and would worship the different objects and elements of the nature, just as the Greeks would do. And the result of that was that they were so great in whatever they did, and how peaceful their life was, and how the life of these English people is. Life is absolutely different. No peace at all. And if William Wordsworth is here talking all this, it means he has somewhere in his own mind the horrible experiences of that French Revolution, because he was very much closely associated with the French Revolution, thinking that the French Revolution was going to change this world at large in a very different manner. But absolutely contrary happened. Absolutely different happened. He never ever expected, William Wordsworth never ever expected that French Revolution was going to be a nightmarish experience for her. Why? Because in this very particular revolution, large number of the lives of the innocent people were lost. Large number of the innocent had suffered a lot. So see here, William Wordsworth, by and large we can say that is not happy at all, or was not happy at all, the way the Christians were, the English people were growing. Thank you, my dear learners. I hope this explanation of mine will help you understand this very particular poem.